This week, I 3D printed the Incredibles house. Hi everyone, welcome back to the City Aperture channel. My name is Jose, I go by City Aperture. And this week I have a quick project in that I've already done most of the legwork for it. I'm actually just gonna 3D print a model of it. I showed it at the beginning. This is the Incredibles house. I hope everyone's seen the movie, the original movie. I don't know what year it was from. Probably put it up here somewhere. But a few months back, I did a design, or I figured out the design of the house. I set out to figure out what the floor plan looked like, and then from those floor plans, I 3D modeled the entire house and did some renderings to sort of match some of the views you see in the movie. And I've had that model sort of kicking around in the 3D software that's mostly used for architecture rendering, which is SketchUp. I finally decided I want to 3D print it. I want to have the model so I can 3D print it. So I'm going to now go through and show you how I went about converting that file, printing it, and then I have it right here. So let's go through that. Okay, so here you're looking at the model in SketchUp of the Incredibles house that I made. As I mentioned, I modeled this a few months ago. I don't remember exactly. I'll put links to the video of me doing this model, as well as some images of the finished rendering, so you guys can see that. So I have a playlist for this project that I did here. But here you can see it, right? That's the Incredibles house and the site that I did for it. So in order to 3D print this, we are going to have to get rid of a lot of the geometry on the outside. So I'm going to do it without the site and without any of the trees. The easiest way to get rid of it is just turn off layers. Not gonna leave the plants on. Turn off any layers that we will need to keep glass. And I think that'll do it. That one too. Okay. So now everything else that's left needs to go away. So we can just select it all. Delete. Good. Now if we turn back on the roof, the walls. So there seems to be a couple of plants left, so we can just delete those manually. Kind of like that. I want to turn off the shadow as well. We don't need the shadow because we're not rendering this right now. Okay, there we go. So all of the site is gone. Also want to get rid of the lines I brought in order to model it. We can get rid of that. Right. Now we have just the house. Next step is clean up the materials a little bit. Okay, so now I have also I just got rid of all the materials just for my sanity. It was easy enough. You just sort of select everything and change the materials, and I got rid of the thickness of the floor because I don't think I need that. So I think now we're ready to, well, we're almost ready to export, right? So the next issue is the size, right? When you're modeling in SketchUp for architectural renderings, you model it at full size, so you can see that this is 3 feet. Right down here where it says length, it'll give you the size. And when I measured that, that's a 3-foot wall, which is what I had figured out that wall, the thickness of that wall was. Right? So we obviously don't want to export it at this size because it'll be a massive model. So let's just think about this for a second. What is the length of the entire house? If we measure from the center of that wall to this most exterior edge, we're going to 105 feet and 9 inches. So that's pretty big at So I don't think I'm ever going to want to print this at a quarter scale. Now I'm talking about architectural scales, and you guys can't see this because I'm holding a scale in my hands right now, but I'm sort of trying to figure out how big this is going to be. So I think at a quarter of an inch, basically a foot gives you almost 50 feet. So that would be almost a 2-foot model, which is too big. Even at 1/8 of an inch, it's a pretty big model. So I don't see myself ever printing it bigger than 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch, and that's 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, right? So when you think about it, and I know this is all U.S. architectural scale. If you're looking at it from a European country or anywhere outside the U.S., this what I'm talking about may not make any sense. But basically what I'm saying is that this wall, which measures 3 feet, right, is going to end up being 3/8 of an inch wide, which it's about 9 millimeters, something like that. Yeah, about 9.5 millimeters. I know the metric system, but unfortunately here we don't use it at all, and we have to go by what's being used. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this guy down, right? So I've selected the entire model, and I'm going to use this scale over here, the scale tool. You have to sort of select a corner, so it's going to scale down to this point from this one, right? And now I can scale it as much as I want. You can see down here, it tells you what scale factor I'm using. At 1 means it's 100%. So I did some quick math, and to scale it to 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, you would need to scale it to basically 1.04%. In this case, it's going to be 0.0104. We hit enter, and there you have it. We have now scaled this down to 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, right? So remember this length here was 3 feet. If I measure it now, it's 3/8 of an inch. Right? So this is the perfect 1/8 scale of the house. Now we are almost ready to export it. What I also want to do, because we're going to 3D print this, is I don't want to leave it at, imperial measurements like it is. I don't want to leave it in feet and inches. We're going to convert it to metric, which is simple enough. It is under window, model info, right? And here we're going to switch from architectural to decimal, switch it to millimeters, right? And then we just close this window and that's it. Now we are in millimeters. And remember how I said this was 3/8 of an inch, which is about 9 millimeters, and there you go, 9.5. Right? So just like that, we're all set. We are ready to export. And we're going to use a plugin for that. What's important to note about this plugin that we're about to show you is that this has to be a closed model. Now, if there's little gaps, the software will take care of it for you, but make sure you at least have a base for your model, right? Like you couldn't be without the floor in here. Right? Now, the plugin is this toolbar that you see up here, right? And I'll show it to you. I keep calling it a plugin, but in Revit they're actually called extensions, right? This particular extension is called CAD Span Tools, right? And it comes with a couple of different tools. You could, if you had modeled this for the sake of 3D printing, you could just save it right to STL. That's what this one will allow you to do. Now the problem is, if I save this right to STL, all the interior geometry will export with it and it'll take forever to print. And it'll try and print all the interior geometry, which you'd never be able to get to. So what we're going to do is what they call, when you click this little button here, it pulls it up. It is the Resurfacer, right? Oh, and I got to log in. So, okay, all logged in. So, this is the Resurfacer. This lets you get rid of basically any internal geometry without you having to do it yourself. I don't typically mess with any settings here. I just click upload. You say yes. I'm going to tell it millimeters because we switched to millimeters, remember. Hit OK. Okay. File has been uploaded, and now we just click process. Yes. This can take a while. It'll assign it. Once it's assigned, it'll process it, and then once it's finished processing, it'll let you download it. So we're not going to sit here for the whole thing. Once this is done, we'll come back and we'll have it downloaded. It'll download actually an STL file, so we'll be all set to go to Cura. So let's just, well, I actually did it already, so we'll just switch over to that and we won't sit here and wait for this. Alright, so when we last left off, we had this. And we had put the Resurfacer on, and we had sent it to off. So now let's go off to Cura. This is my preferred software for prepping my 3D prints. We're going to go ahead and open the file, and I'm going to go to the file that I downloaded. There it is. I'm going to open that, and now here we are. Now because I made it 1/8 of an inch. This is bigger than the surface of my 3D printer, but that's okay. That just, I mean, this just sort of tells me this is how big it would be. I could print it up to this size, or bigger really, but we'll scale it down for the sake of this. I think it'll fit at 40%. I would prefer to go probably 50% because then I know it's a standard architectural scale, but you know, it's not a big deal. For the sake of this, I think at this size it's going to take forever to print. So let's just see. We are looking at 7 hours. Yes, I'll probably just print it this size for now. But, you know, here's our model, our STL. I'm going to want support, it's good. For the sake of showing you, let's go to the layer view. Wait. So there it shows you the supports. Just turn off the supports for a second. And here we are. So what I wanted to show you is that to prove that there is no internal geometry, you can see how it's just infill in the middle, right? Had I not ran it through that resurfacing process, we would see every single wall in here. And it would be a nightmare. You know, I mean, this is going to take 6 hours to print at this rate anyways. What I'll do is I'll set the supports back on. We'll export this file. But yeah, 7 hours, we'll go ahead and we'll print this. So there you guys have it. That's how I 3D printed my model of the Incredibles house. Like I mentioned in the video, and I'll put some photos up. Like I mentioned in the video, I have this model at 1/8 inch scale. This is smaller than 16th, which, you know, I don't know how familiar you guys are with architectural scale, but this is an architectural scale. So look up architectural scales and you can get a little more familiar with it. And like I mentioned, now I have it at 1/8 inch scale. I'm going to print it at an 1/8 inch scale eventually. I'll probably print it for an 1/8 inch scale before the movie comes out and do another video on it. I know the question I'm going to get from everybody is, will you share this STL model? And I go back and forth into which models I share and which ones I don't. Right now I'm not going to share this file. Maybe as we get closer to the movie I will, when I post a video of printing it bigger. Right now I'm going to hang on to it. I've worked hard in that model and figuring all that out, so I don't know how I feel about putting it out there for free right now. But maybe we can figure out a deal. If this video gets 5,000 views between now and the time of the movie, which I believe is in June sometime, I'll put right here somewhere the actual date of the movie. If it gets a certain number of views, let's say 5,000, then I'll share the model. I'll just put it up on Thingiverse and people can have it. So, let's shoot for that. I don't know. Anyway, so if you guys like this and you want to see more videos, the stuff, subscribe, like, whatever. And hopefully I'll see you guys next week when we do another project. Bye. If you guys like this project, then maybe you'll enjoy the podcast that I do with my two colleagues, Claudia and Ray. We discuss purpose-driven design, making, and manufacturing. We talk about architecture. We talk about all sorts of making. We have a project of the week. So please check it out. Again, it's called The Made Podcast. Thanks so much.